What's up, crew? You cannot think of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu without thinking about the name Gracie. They are largely responsible for the proliferation of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu throughout the world. Another thing that they are known for is the Gracie Diet, something that was developed by Carlos Gracie Sr. back in the day as a means of promoting optimum health and longevity. But what does modern science say about the Gracie Diet? I'm going to go on the Gracie Diet for 24 hours to see how I feel, see how it goes, and we're going to compare the concepts to what modern science says about nutrition and fitness now to see what holds up, what might be a little bit off, and what might just be wrong. We are off to the grocery store right now to go get what we need to make our meals for the day, so let's get to it. The Gracie Diet has some very specific rules that I'll be following today. Meals must be 4.5 to 5 hours apart, no snacking between meals, water only and only between meals, clean whole foods, no conflicting foods, we'll get into that in a little bit, no dairy, and no caffeine. Alrighty, so what we have in front of us right now is some stewed apples over whole grain toast. You'll see that there is a lot of apple and no protein on the plate. So let's talk about one of the things we can put into the good category with the Gracie Diet is that when you look at this and you look at just about all the things that I'm going to be making today, there is a big emphasis on whole clean foods. So awesome, we're going to put that into the good category without even thinking about it, right? Any diet plan that is based around whole clean foods is not going to be a bad plan. There's also a huge emphasis on fruits and veggies. Again, big win, we're going to put that into the good category because fruits and veggies, good for you, awesome. But there is this thing about not combining conflicting foods, such as not having protein and starches in the same meal. Here's where we're going to put this one into the not good, into the bad, into the wrong category. So the Gracie Diet is based around this idea of not having foods that conflict in the same meal. And this is based on something called the Hay Diet, which was developed by Dr. William Howard Hay back in the early 20th century. And even in the 1930s, it was kind of debunked as not being scientifically sound. And modern science, what we know about nutrition and how the gut works, we know that there is no such thing as conflicting foods. So you are absolutely allowed to have protein and starch in the same meal. It is not going to affect digestion whatsoever. There's no science behind this idea of combining foods and conflicting foods and whatnot. So there's no need to add that level of complexity into any kind of diet plan. So we could just take all of that extra unneeded complexity out, especially when that complexity has no scientific basis whatsoever. Now, as far as this tea goes, even the tea bag looks like it was filled with like baby poo. Ugh. It smells good. I mean, it smells like ginger. It tastes like hot water. I really wanted a drink in the middle of my breakfast here. And according to the Gracie Diet, I am not allowed to drink water until the end of the meal because it might interfere with digestion. We're going to put that into the meh category because, listen, if it works for you and you want to wait to the end of your meal, great. There's nothing bad that'll happen with it. Some people just like waiting until the end. If you have something like acid reflux, you might find acid reflux. Waiting till the end of your meal might be a smart move just because of how your personal digestive enzymes and acid are working in your system. So we'll put that into the meh category, but it is absolutely not required to wait until the end of your meal. Now, the other thing we kind of need to address, because I know a lot of people like having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee in the morning. Now, the Gracie Diet says you're not allowed to have caffeine in the morning because the feeling or the thought process is that it's going to interfere with your digestion. I'm going to put the no caffeine into the meh category. As far as the reasoning for not having it with your meals because it's going to interfere with your digestion, that is just scientifically unfounded. Caffeine actually aids digestion. Ingesting caffeine can actually help stimulate a bowel movement, which is good for your gut health. If you ingest the coffee, if you ingest the caffeine, not if you're doing this stupid caffeine, coffee, suppository, colonic bullshit. Pouring coffee up your butt doesn't do anything. Stop that crotch. I digress. But as far as why I'm putting it in the meh category, yes, there are some small neurological benefits from having caffeine. And if it works for you, awesome. It also depends on the timing though, because if you have caffeine too late in the day, it will interfere with your sleep. Even if you're one of those people that could do like a triple shot of espresso right before you go to bed and you fall fast asleep, awesome. But it does mean the caffeine will prevent you from getting to a truly restful state, and it will interfere with deep, restful sleep. So having caffeine too late in the day can actually interfere with rest, can actually interfere with recovery. So that's why I'm going to put it into the meh category. Ugh. Oh, apples. We'll put it into the meh category. All right, I'm going to let this settle for a little bit, and then I'm going to head off to the gym for my morning workout. About halfway through the workout, and I'm feeling all right. I feel bloated though, because that's an awful lot of fiber to eat first thing in the morning. We're all feeling pretty good though. We'll see how it goes. So we're done the first workout of the day. The bloat is feeling a little bit better, and usually I would go home and have myself a little snack, a little protein bar or a protein shake. But according to the rules of the Gracie Diet, I am not allowed to have any snacks in between meals, and I'm not allowed to eat for 4 to 4.5 hours after my last meal. So where are we going to categorize this? I'm going to put this into the meh category. Why meh? Well, there is no scientific basis behind the idea that we must wait 4 to 4.5 hours in between meals. Eating small meals throughout the day is not going to interfere with digestion. It's not going to interfere with gut health. And honestly, if you spend all day fighting off your hunger signals, your hunger signaling, you're not going to be able to get much done. You're going to be miserable all day long. So maybe having 4 to 5, 6 meals throughout the day works best for you. Or maybe you're someone who just really does better when you have 3 meals a day that are very tightly regimented, scheduled type deals. Then good, do what works for you. So we're going to put this into the meh category. Not required, but if you find it helpful, awesome. I can finally eat lunch. I normally eat a lot of times during the day, snacks in between meals and whatnot. Waiting 4.5 hours, for me, sucks. For lunch, I'm allowed to have veggies and starches. So I have a baked sweet potato with some olive oil, some steamed veggies over brown rice, and some vegetable soup, some beans and lentils. Really looking forward to this, actually. So let's once again take a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly that we can get with the Gracie Diet. The good, again, we're focusing on clean, whole foods, lots of fruits and veggies. Sweet potatoes, awesome source of lots of micronutrients. But I'm not, again, allowed to have protein on my plate. This is a real problem. The average athlete needs about 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. And getting it all in one meal is really, really difficult, if not impossible. So I'm going to fall well below my protein thresholds for the day. I know that. So that's a really major issue. Once again, there is no such thing as conflicting foods. You can put whatever food on your plate that you want to. There is not going to be an issue with you digesting it. You might have individual issues. That's something different. But large and wholly, you don't have to worry about that. I am not allowed to put any butter on my sweet potato. Now, you might think at the outset, that's a good thing, right? Not putting butter on things. Well, if you're going for a low-fat diet, not putting butter on things is a really good idea. However, the reasoning behind not putting butter on it has nothing to do with low fat and everything to do with the fact that it is dairy. And the Gracie diet calls for very, very little dairy. There is no scientific basis to eliminate foods from your meals based on what other foods are on there. There might be taste reasons, there might be personal preferences, but there is nothing scientifically that says you can't do that. Dairy is awesome for you if you can tolerate it. If you have lactose intolerance, no, you should not be having dairy. Or you find a lactose-free milk like Fairlife. That's an option. If you have a milk allergy, by all means, do not have milk or any dairy if you have a dairy allergy. Outside of that, though, most people tolerate milk pretty well, and it is good for you. It's a very complete source of protein, for one, and despite what some people might be telling you on the internet, milk is not inflammatory. Again, no scientific basis to support that claim. Milk has been found, or dairy, I should say, has been found to be either neutral in terms of inflammatory reaction or, in fact, anti-inflammatory. So, that means you can have dairy. That means I can have ice cream, but not today. The other thing we'll take a look at here is the brown rice. People might tell you that you need to have brown rice instead of having white rice because it's healthier for you. And there might be two reasons behind that. Reason number one is based on an urban myth that says that white rice is actually bleached. White rice is not bleached. It just is not how that works. White rice is brown rice that has had the husk cleaned off of it through an agitation process. It is not bleached. So from that perspective, the argument that brown rice is better goes right out the window. Now, if your reasoning is that there are more micronutrients in brown rice, you're correct, but only technically, and the amount of micronutrients that you find in brown rice that you will not get in white rice is actually pretty negligible. You're not going to be deficient in any of those things, especially if you're eating a well-balanced diet. And worst case scenario is you'll get it through a multivitamin. So the only reason you should be putting brown rice onto your meal plan is if you like the taste of it. If you like the taste, awesome. If you like white rice better, awesome. But if memory serves, because it's been a long time since I've had brown rice, if memory serves correct, yeah, I don't like it. I think it tastes like dirt. But that's me. But I'm gonna eat this because I'm starving, and we'll go from there. Mazel tov. Oh wait, I'm not allowed to drink anything. Crap. I'm not allowed to drink this until after I'm done eating. Another one of the rules. Did we talk about? We did talk about that. Yeah. Anywho, here we go. All right. I'm still trying to get through the rest of this. You know, I might just gonna put the rice into the soup here. We're gonna do that because I don't like brown rice. Not my favorite. The Gracie diet. And as I try to finish this, I did a little math. So this meal right here is 883 calories. And that brings me to the day up to 1,371. Now I usually consume around 2,400 calories a day. That seems to be right about where I need to be. I don't gain weight, I don't lose weight eating that number of calories. Unless I'm eating a 1,000 calorie meal for dinner, I'm gonna fall well below my daily caloric intake. Now, from time to time, if I were trying to lose weight, would that be a good thing? Sure, but I'm not trying to lose weight. Also, consuming 1,000 calories in a meal or 800 calories in a meal For me anyway, really feels like a lot. I felt so bloated this morning after I got done breakfast. I have a feeling I'm gonna feel very similar after I'm done eating all of this. And when I look at what I've done for the day, 45 grams of protein so far. Not bad. Usually I'm closer to 70 to 100 grams of protein by the time I get to my lunch or mid-afternoon. And on top of that, that 45 grams is coming from grains and coming from black beans. Not really good sources of complete protein. I'm definitely gonna fall short of that today. 230 grams of carbs total intake throughout the day. 22 grams of fat. So we can put the low fat portion of the Gracie diet firmly into the good category. Low fat diet, and the only fat I've really had has come from, say, like olive oil. So we're talking about healthy fats. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this bowl of soup right here. Then I'm gonna go take, more than likely, a very prolonged shit. In a few hours, I'll have dinner, and then we have jiu-jitsu tonight.
I wasn't actually able to finish the soup. I just felt too full. I spent the rest of the afternoon feeling pretty bloated until it got to be dinner time, in which case I went from feeling full to feeling starving in about 3.2 seconds.
Okay, time for dinner. Finally, I have some protein on my plate. I'm really looking forward to this. So we have some grilled tilapia, we have sauteed zucchini, and we have a little salad here, just cucumber and lettuce with some lemon in there. This is a more reasonably sized meal. Unfortunately, it's not a lot of calories. I'm definitely not breaking 2,000 calories today, but I actually had to throw out like half that soup that I had earlier. It was too much. One of the big things I'm picking up on so far is that there's so much roughage and so much fiber in all of the meals that it makes it really hard to eat big quantities of it, but yet I'm still really hungry come the next meal. I don't know quite how to parse that. Maybe there's better ways of pairing all the foods together if we were to follow by these combination rules, which we've already established are not a thing. I'm gonna house this right now because I am hungry and I'm looking forward to this right now. It was nice to finally have some protein, some real protein on my plate. Looking forward to that all day. I would definitely want more of that throughout the day. So part of this might just be if I really wanted to follow this combination diet of finding other ways of pairing the foods throughout the day. But again, I keep coming back to there is no scientific basis to say that certain foods need to be eaten with other foods, or rather to prevent certain foods from being eaten together. Make it as simple as possible. Now, this was probably the closest thing to what I would actually have on a daily basis. I have grilled tilapia most days. I really like that. And the big change is I'll usually have it over rice, but having it with the sauteed zucchini, actually really good. So that might be something I add into the diet at a certain point. Maybe sooner rather than later. But that was really good. So now it's just on to resting, hanging out, and then off to jiu-jitsu. And then it's awesome. Yep. Well, I'm gonna brush my teeth first. Then I'll head over to jiu-jitsu because we've got coaching tonight for the competition that's coming up, and then we've got class. Right when we started drilling, my upper back just cramped up. And later when I was rolling, I felt very, very sluggish. Now, this could be from being underfed because I definitely did not get enough calories, and maybe also from not getting enough electrolytes. All right, wrap. Class is done, heading home. I feel like crap.
One day later.
Let's get some final thoughts on this. So, how did I feel overall? I spent most of the day going between feeling incredibly full right after eating to getting very, very hungry a few hours later. Not being able to snack really messed with me. Some of the totals, nutritionally, macros, I only got about 1,500 calories, 1,560. That's about 1,000 less than I would usually consume in a day. And protein-wise, only did about 80 grams, which is about 100 grams less than I would usually aim for. So on that front, not really great. Fat,
39 grams. That is way under what I usually eat. So on that front, we'll say that's definitely a huge win. What did I like about the diet? I really liked that it was clean whole foods. That's awesome. It was more veggies than I usually eat, and I definitely should eat more vegetables with my meals, so this might be something I can incorporate into my diet plan moving forward. There were lots of nutrient-dense foods. When I'm looking at my nutrition scores for the day in my app that I track all of my food in, I was well over 100% in the vast majority of the micronutrients. So that part is really good, even though I was still way underfed. So that's really good. Now, what would I change? I would definitely want more protein. The meal timing, I would change that as well. Listen, if it works for you, awesome, go ahead and do it. But there is no scientifically validated reason to stick to such regimented timing, saying that you need to have 4.5 to 5 hours in between meals. You need to do what works for you. Figure out something that works for you that you're going to be able to stick to. What would I just dump out of the Gracie diet? Right away, get rid of the food combination rules. There is absolutely no scientific basis to avoid certain foods within the same meal. Eat what you want together. There's not going to be any interference with your digestion. I would also get rid of most of the food restrictions, the things like dairy and pork. Again, there's no scientific basis to eliminate those from your diet for health reasons. Again, all provided that you don't have specific allergies or metabolic disorders. Would I recommend the Gracie diet? No, I would not. Too much complexity, too many parts that aren't backed by research and reliable data to make it worth committing to. I would say take the good parts, the things like clean whole foods, low fat, the things like that will work for you, and just build something more sustainable with that. You need to get rid of the added unnecessary complexity because one, that complexity, again, as mentioned, doesn't have any scientific basis. But on top of that, in any diet plan, the more complex it is, the less likely it is that you are going to be able to follow it. Simple is almost always better. So the simpler your diet plan, the more likely you are to start and the more likely you are to stick with it and see the results that you want to get with it. It sounds boring, but it leads to results. I am happy to be back to my regular eating. Super happy for that. And glad I did it though. Glad I gave it a shot. So if you have ideas for other diets you would like me to try that popular jiu-jitsu athletes are doing, please let me know in the comments. Thank you for taking the time to watch. If you like this video, please feed the algorithm, like, subscribe, share, follow me on Instagram, St. Brian BJJ. And until next time, I'll see you later.